Alright, you guys, this is going to be pages 3 and 4 of your Chapter 7A test review. Here on number 19, I know I've got two sides of a right triangle and I'm looking for the third, so I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. I locate the C across from the right angle is 10, so I know it's going to be 5 radical 3 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. Remember, when you have a radical squared like that, you want to distribute the square. So you get 25, and then radical 3 squared is just 3. So 25 times 3, which comes out to 75. Plus x squared equals 100. We subtract 75 on both sides. You get x squared equals 25. Square root both sides, and x comes out to 5. Number 21 is a little bit different, but we can still figure it out. I know this top part is 13, so this bottom part right here is going to be 13. Then to find this missing side right here, I've got two sides out of the 3 of my right triangle, so I locate the C and I plug into Pythagorean theorem. X squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. So x squared plus 225 equals 17 squared, which is 289. Subtract 225 on both sides. You get x squared equals 64. And then take the square root, so x equals 8. So this part is 8 right there. This part is 13, and this one's 8. So you add up those sides, 8 plus 8 plus 13, and you get 29. This next section is all special right practice. Like we said before, we're going to label our magic numbers. We're going to label the sides that we know, and then we're going to divide in and multiply out. So for number 23, it tells me D is 7. So I'm going to label that side as 7. Then I'm going to label my sides with my magic numbers. Across from the 30 is 1. Across from the 90 is 2. And across from the 60 is your radical 3. So we divide to get in. 7 divided by 1 is 7. Then we multiply to get out. 7 times 2 is 14 for F. 7 times radical 3 is 7 radical 3 for E. Let's try number 25. It's a 45, 45, 90. It tells me C is 30. I'm going to label my magic numbers. Across from the 90 for a 45, 45, 90 is radical 2. And then these guys are 1s. 1, 1, 1 radical, 1, 1 radical 2. So we divide to get in. Now that's going to be a little tricky. 30 divided by radical 2. So I'm going to do that up here. Remember, when there's a radical on the bottom, that's a problem. We multiply by radical 2 over itself, which comes out to 30 radical 2 over 2. Then we simplify those numbers that are outside of the radical. 30 divided by 2 is 15 radical 2. Then we multiply to get out. So 15 radical 2 times 1 is 15 radical 2. 15 radical 2 times 1 is 15 radical 2. Let's try number 7. That's another 45, 45, 90. Tells me C is 24 radical 2. Then I label my magic numbers. 1, 1, radical 2. We divide to get in. So I have to divide 24 radical 2 by radical 2. And what we know is that when there's a radical 2 on top and bottom, they cancel. So you get 24 on the inside. Then you multiply to get out 24 and 24. So A and B are both 24. 29, another 30, 60, 90. E is 12. Then you label your sides with those magic numbers. Across from the 30 is 1. Across from the 90 is 2. And across from the 60 is the radical 3. Remember, we divide to get in. 12 divided by radical 3. I'm going to work that up here because there's a radical in the denominator. We have to multiply by the radical 3 over himself. 12 times radical 3 is just 12 radical 3. Radical 3 times radical 3 is 3. Then you simplify those numbers outside of jail. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So you get 4 radical 3. Now we multiply to get out. 4 radical 3 times 1 is just 4 radical 3. 4 radical 3 times 2 is 8 radical 3. So F is the 8 radical 3 and D is the 4 radical 3. All right, let's go to the last page here. We've got some similar right triangles here. If you remember, we used the boomerang and over, up, down, over to help us solve these. If you don't remember that, there is a PowerPoint on Mrs. McKeever's Moodle website that you could go watch, and you'll watch how to set these up. But I'm going to do number 31. I'm going to start with A. I notice that I can do over, up, down, over to help me find A. And all we're doing is setting up proportions. Wherever my pen goes, I write that number down. So 24 over 32 is going to equal, so we went this way then this way, it's going to equal 32 over A. Then we cross multiply. 32 times 32 is 1024 equals 24A. And then we divide that by 24 on both sides. A equals 2.6 repeating. For B and C, notice they are outside of the triangle, so we're going to use boomerang. I have to plug A back in here, 42.67. And what I need is I need to add this whole side so that I can use my boomerang. So I'm going to take that and add 24 to it, and I get this whole side as 66.67. So now when I set up my boomerang, I'll start with finding B, and I'll throw it from here. I'll go 66.67 over B equals B over 24. That's your boomerang. 66.67 over B equals B over 24. So we started across from the side that we wanted to find. We threw it over. Wherever my pen went, I wrote it down, back, and stops at the altitude. Here we just cross multiply. We get B squared equals 1600. Square root both sides, and you get B equals 40. To find C, we do that same thing, but I'll throw it from the opposite side. 66.67 over C equals C over 42.67. So 66.67 over C equals C over 42.67. Cross multiply. c squared is going to equal 2,844.8, and then we square root both sides. C equals 53.3. The last 3 problems on your review here are review problems from previous units. I would encourage you to go back and look at those review problems. But we're just trying to wrap up some more review when we're closing in on our semester exam. This one needs to tell you that your lines are parallel here. And then we can solve for the missing angles. I would go alternate interior for the 54 and the z. So that makes z 54 degrees. Then the same thing goes for 25 and y. So y is 25 degrees. If we wanted to find x or w, then what we would do is notice that we have 2 angles inside of a triangle, and we're looking for the third. So we would do 54 plus 25 plus w equals 180. So 54 plus 25 is 79, plus w equals 180. Subtract 79 on both sides, so w equals 101. And that'll be the same as x. That's it for our review videos. Please comment and if you have any questions.